Hersam Acorn newspapers, publishers of the Greenwich Post, New Canaan Advertiser, the Darien Times, the Ridgefield Press, the Weston Forum, the Wilton Bulletin, the Reading Pilot, the Lewisboro Ledger, the Monroe Courier, the Eastern Courier, the Trumbull Times, Fairfield Sun, Shelton Herald, the Stratford Star, the Milford Mirror, and the Valley Gazette.
Hersam, Acorn, and HANradio.com. The leader in local news, sports, arts, and entertainment in southwestern Connecticut.
And we're a little past 2 o'clock on a Wednesday edition of Nutmeg Sports. Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm Rob Adams. Happy to have you along. You can join us on the phone if you so choose at 203-442-9055. Bill Bloxham's going to ride shotgun. He will join us in a couple of minutes. Joe Tonelli, the head baseball coach at the University of Bridgeport, will be along as well. So good show coming up for a Hump Day edition. But we start the broadcast, as we do every day, by turning things over to the HAN news desk and bring in Kate Shaplinski. Kate, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Rob. Thank you. Well, the death toll in Philadelphia climbed to 7 Wednesday with the discovery of another body in the wreckage as investigators try to determine why an Amtrak train hurtled off the tracks while rounding a sharp curve. More than 200 people were injured in the wreck that plunged screaming passengers into darkness and chaos Tuesday night. Investigators recovered the locomotive's black box recorders and said they expected them to yield crucial information, including how fast the train was going when it jumped the tracks in an old industrial neighborhood not far from the Delaware River shortly after 9 at night. Mayor Michael Nutter said some people remained unaccounted for, though he cautioned that some passengers listed on the Amtrak manifest might not have boarded the train, while others might not have checked in with authorities. The dead included an employee of the Associated Press and a midshipman for the U.S. Naval Academy. The train was en route from Washington to New York with 238 passengers and 5 crew members listed aboard when it lurched to the side and flew off the tracks at a notorious curve not far from the scene of one of the nation's deadliest train wrecks more than 70 years ago. The speed limit is 70 miles per hour just before the curve and 50 miles per hour along the curve itself, according to the Federal Railroad Administration. The accident closed the nation's busiest rail corridor between New York and Washington, snarling the morning commute and forcing thousands of travelers to find some other way to reach their destination as federal investigators arrived to begin examining the twisted wreckage. In other news, a drunk driving suspect nearly struck a police officer with her car early Tuesday morning, according to Monroe Police. Monroe Police were directing traffic at Route 25 construction site when officers said 22-year-old Chandra Velasquez of Bridgeport drove her 2007 Cadillac SUV past the site in an erratic manner. Velasquez reportedly drove at one of the officers, nearly striking her, and then swerved through the area, nearly striking several traffic cones. A second officer at the site stopped Velasquez's car and allegedly smelled alcohol on her breath when he approached her. Velasquez told police she was on her way from Bridgeport to Derby, and police said she seemed confused about her presence in Monroe. New Britain Police will hold a press conference at 4 o'clock this afternoon to release more details on the serial murder investigation there. NBC Connecticut report that multiple sources familiar with the investigation have said that William Devin Howell, a 45-year-old who's currently incarcerated at a Connecticut prison on a separate manslaughter charge, is suspected in the killings of at least 7 people whose bodies were found buried beneath a local shopping center. Howell's current 15-year sentence at the Garner Correctional Institution stems from the homicide of Nisa Arimendi, a 33-year-old Wethersfield resident who disappeared in 2003. Investigators in New Britain have recovered the bodies of at least 7 people from a swampy, wooded area behind the shopping plaza at 593 Hartford Road, where a hunter found the first set of remains in 2007. One of those victims has recently been identified as Seymour resident Melanie Camellini, who was 29 years old when she disappeared. Monday would have been her 42nd birthday. In Stratford, authorities say a nurse at an assisted living facility put residents there in danger when she stole medication and instead gave them over-the-counter pills. Stratford police Tuesday said 39-year-old Jamie Fitcher of Seymour, an LPN, is believed to have been involved in taking prescription medication while distributing it to patients at the Lord Chamberlain Rehabilitation Facility, which is on Main Street. Police said Fitcher admitted to swapping out prescription medication with over-the-counter Tylenol or allergy medications and keeping the prescription pills. Fitcher was arrested Monday, charged with reckless endangerment, illegally obtaining narcotics, illegally possessing narcotics, possession of a controlled substance, failure to keep medications in the proper container, and misrepresentation of a controlled substance. She was held on a $25,000 bind. At the time of her arrest, Fitcher on May 11th, police said she had 20 oxycodone and diazepam pills. Stratford police asked anyone with information to contact Detective John Farina at 203-385-4128. Governor Malloy's working hard to get his Second Chance Society legislation passed, starting with reducing penalties for personal possession of drugs, regardless of whether a suspect is arrested in a school zone, according to the New Haven Register. In the state's major cities, school zones are defined as an area 1,500 feet from a school or daycare center, and they cover almost all of New Haven, Hartford, and Bridgeport. Tough drug laws passed decades ago added a 2-year mandatory jail sentence if that possession is within these zones, leading to very high numbers of arrests in the cities, which most of the charges brought against minorities. Malloy is proposing to reduce the penalty for possession of small amounts of drugs for personal use from a felony to a misdemeanor, with a maximum 1-year jail term and no mandatory 2-year sentencing requirement. In Monroe, the third time was a charm for the 2015-16 budget as voters passed the proposal by a comfortable 378 votes, nearly 12%. All 4 voting districts approved the $84.05 million package, which represents about a 2.5% increase from the current year. The budget passed among Fawn Hollow voters 547 to 444. Stepney Elementary School District voters approved it 304 to 196. At Massac, the margin was 609 to 468, and it was 307 to 277 at Monroe Elementary. Turnout was 27.1%. Or 3,167 of the town's 11,669 registered voters. It is currently 66 degrees and cloudy in Shelton. HAN News Time is 2:07.
All right, Kate, thanks very much. We'll talk to Kate at the end of the hour, at the end of the show, and as we get that great look from our outside camera, that Keep Right sign is looking so beautiful on this Wednesday afternoon. But it really is a great shot of Bridgeport Avenue, which was Route 8 at one time before they built the big one, the big Route 8 that sits actually right behind our building. Bill Bloxham going to come in and join us in a moment as we get going here for this Wednesday edition of Nutmeg Sports. And happy hump day to you one and all. I'm Rob Adams. Once again, Bill to join us. And as I said, we will have Joe Tonelli, the head baseball coach at the University of Bridgeport, who has a lot of local players on his team, and they've had themselves a pretty good year. So we will talk to him coming up as Bill joins us now. And Bill, that'll be kind of fun.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. I've known Joe since he was 15.
We had a little electrical problem. We're back.
Okay.
Come on back in.
Yeah, since he was like a 15-year-old player in Milford. He played Milford Legion as a catcher. As a 15-year-old, he was an all-star.
Yeah.
So he went on from there and obviously played at Notre Dame West Haven, led them to the state finals. Then went on to Assumption, where he was all-league there, and then he's been coaching. And I think one of the interesting things is Porky Vieira is one of the most renowned coaches in New England and the country, and his dad was his assistant. And so I'm sure Joe was there listening to Porky give lessons to players from a very young age.
And again, all these local players that he's got on this team, so that that's a nice angle as well for what we do as well.
Oh, exactly. 16 kids directly from our area. Casey Ouellette from New Canaan, 4 guys from Milford, 2 guys from Stratford, 1 who played in Trumbull, 3 kids from Ansonia, a kid from Derby. It's get a chance to talk to him about what he saw in these kids that he wanted to bring him to be with him to the Purple Knights, and the success they've had this year, winning, tying for the ACC regular season title and getting to the title game for the first time.
Yeah, among the local players, as Bill was starting to say, you got players from Milford, New Canaan, Milford again, Derby, and so on. I mean, that's good to see around this area.
Oh, exactly. And we get a chance to talk to Joe and find out what he saw in them and what his recruiting area is and what he looks for. He also has a kid from Georgia. He has a kid from California. So obviously, University of Bridgeport is bringing people in from all around the thing, but you're supposed to recruit as close to home as possible and work your way out, and it seems to have been successful for Joe.
2:10 here on Nutmeg Sports, and just a reminder, as I was reminding folks off the air, 203-442-9055 is our phone number if you want to join in the conversation. We'd love to be able to chat. It's supposed to be very interactive, and we'll pull that out of you eventually. It takes a little time as we begin year number 2 of the program, but I know the phone has rang. I don't have a screener today, so I'm going to go out on a limb and think that maybe the coach has already called in, so maybe we'll give it a shot.
That works for me.
That works for me too. And let's see, Coach, is that you?
Yes, it is.
All right, Coach, how are you? This is Rob Adams with Bill Bloxham.
How you doing, guys?
We're doing all right. Thanks so much for your time today.
Hey, thank you. We appreciate it.
I was just talking to you. Me and Rob were just speaking about the 16 kids from the direct area that that are on your team, and then you got a kid from Georgia, you got a kid from California.
Got a kid from Florida.
That's right. What what brought these kids? You got Casey Ouellette from New Canaan, and all over the place. You must have to get out to see a lot of games.
We try. We scour the high school scene. Myself, my assistant coach Josh Perro, who does an outstanding job recruiting, and our other assistant coach Mike DeLellis. I mean, we're at a high school game just about every day, and it's all local. We're trying to build our program around the local talent.
I see that they just released the all New England team, or the all thing. No first teamers, but you got 2 second teamers and a couple honorable mention guys. That must help though that you have a unit that can work that way, since you don't have that one breakout, number 1 draft pick.
No, we don't. I mean, we're trying to establish a complete program and build a complete roster. Where guys are not heavily relied upon. It was evident in our last about 4 weeks of our season where we really turned it on, and not at one time did one guy just take over. Mm-hmm. Every game it was a different guy this game, a different guy that game. And we have spark plugs. And you mentioned Casey Ouellette. I mean, it all starts with him at the top of the lineup. He gets on. He can do some different things. He's versatile. He is playing outfield for us, and at New Canaan, he was their starting catcher.
That's right.
He caught for that New Canaan club, and he was their leadoff hitter, and he could run a little bit. So he did an outstanding job in center field for us.
Coach, for those who don't know a lot about the strength of schedule, the type of teams you play, I see that you're 25-24, 15-9 in the conference. Run us through the competition that you go up against. Well,
I gotta say, there's not a team that will play a tougher schedule than we do. We start out down in Myrtle Beach, where we played 5 games in about 72 hours. And in those 5 games, we played Southern New Hampshire twice. They're the number 4 team in the region. We played Franklin Pierce, who is the number 1 team in the region, number 3 team in the country. We played Felician, who at that time, coming off of last year's season, was in the Northeast Regional. We play everybody that has been in the Northeast Regional in the last 4 or 5 years. We also throw in Nova, who is the number 1 team in the country, and we played a tough game with them. We play Wilmington twice, who is the number 3 team in this year's regional. So you're not going to find a tougher schedule day in and day out outside of our conference.
To get through that schedule, I would imagine you have to have some pitching, and I see a whole laundry list of good pitchers here for you.
Our pitching staff was our rock this year. I mean, they were just outstanding. We didn't really understand what Rob Anderson from Stratford was going to bring to our table. Mm-hmm. Robbie came from us from Central Connecticut. He did have an arm injury prior to coming here. We actually thought he was going to be in our bullpen. We started him out in the bullpen. He saw some success, and Robbie ended up being 6-1 with a 1.81 ERA, and that came out of nowhere. Anthony Alicki from Milford just stepped up, and he is just a bulldog. I mean, he comes at you with everything he's got. He sits 87, 88. He'll run it up there 90, 91, and he's a very dominating pitcher. Ray Krieger from Derby. Ray was our midweek guy, who actually was called upon to win our regular season league title game, and he threw a great game against St. Thomas Aquinas for us. And that really stems from the leader of the staff, Brian O'Keefe from Milford, who didn't have the best year that Brian could put up, but his work ethic and his leadership of this young pitching staff was outstanding. Brian did set the career record for most wins at the university, as well as the most strikeouts. And for a lot of old-timers, I mean, he ranks right up there with Phil Nastu here at the university.
That's great company for him. One question about when you go out looking at these guys, and I always wondered about it, first impressions. You go out there and you see a kid and he either doesn't get it done or he does it real well. How do you judge, which player you're really seeing?
Well, baseball is one of those games where you can't just go see a kid one time. So that's why we try to get out to as many games as we can. We get out to the showcases. Baseball's a game of failure. So when you go out there, you're not looking to see a kid go 4 for 4. You're looking at what his approach is, what his techniques are, what his fundamentals are. And then we decide as a coaching staff whether that young man will be able to fit into our program. We also take a hard look at our academic side, too. We are trying to change the entire dynamic of University of Bridgeport baseball within our university.
Coach, do you also look at things like, character, attitude, body language on the field? Things like that also play a role?
Absolutely. We are definitely trying, again, change the whole atmosphere and attitude, so we eliminate that. If there's a kid that has questionable character, we won't look at him. We'll go after a Casey Ouellette from New Canaan, who's got, right now, I mean, we just had a meeting the other day, and he's got a 4.0 grade point average. So that's what we're talking about, what we look for.
Exactly. No, that's great. And, sometimes it's more than the batting average.
It absolutely is. It's everything combined. We look at, the offensive side. We look at the defensive side. We look at the classroom side. We also look at the family side. In our program, baseball actually comes third. Our players, their family comes first. School comes second. Baseball actually comes third.
Now you come from quite an athletic family with your dad, Joe, and your brother, Jim. Like he was the captain, I think, of the UConn baseball program, correct?
Yes.
Yes. How much did that impact, your going forward as a coach?
My dad coached with Porky Vieira for 17 years. I grew up in that atmosphere, and I just always wanted to do this. This is the only thing I wanted to do. I played at Assumption. I was fortunate to be able to play at a Division II level. I wish I had my brother's talent. I did. I wasn't blessed being 6'4". I'm just a short, fat Italian kid running around. But I just wanted to coach and spend my life in baseball. And for the past 24 years, I was fortunate enough to do that. And watching my dad and Coach V all those years, and then I was fortunate enough to go over to Quinnipiac for 6 years with Dan Gooley. It was just a great experience. Early in life, out of college, I got a chance to start my own program at Albertus Magnus College. That was a great run for 13 years. So it's been a whirlwind. It's been great, and I do have my dad to thank for it.
There's been a lot of talk, the fireside chat, so to speak, or whatever, about Legion baseball opposed to AAU baseball. When you're, can you find a player in Legion, or do they have to go to all these camps and do all these things?
No. AAU baseball it's a good travel experience for somebody that wants to travel and wants to spend a lot of money. When I played, we never had that. We were all American Legion baseball. Senior Babe Ruth baseball. If you're able to play at a certain level, coaches will find you. It doesn't matter how much you're spending on lessons, or if you're playing 1,000 games during the summer. I mean, hey, if you're playing 100 games during the summer, when are you practicing?
Yeah.
Practice is more important than games.
Practice.
That's my opinion.
The games are the fulfillment.
Yeah. That's how we look at it. We coach during our practices. We don't do much coaching during the games. That's when the kids go out and play.
Coach, you talked a couple of times about what you're trying to build there at Bridgeport, and it sounds like you're building something really good. What's the goal?
The goal is to win a national championship. I mean, we accomplished one of our goals for us. We set every year is to make our league playoff. We did that. Every year we tried to get a winning record. This year we did that. We tried to win the regular season title. This year we accomplished that. We fell short of our goal of winning our league championship. We fell short of getting to the regional and obviously getting to the World Series. But the ultimate goal is absolutely winning that World Series.
What is it, on the personal level, you were named Coach of the Year by your peers. What does that feel like to you? I mean, you've been coaching, like you said, for a long time, but third year with against these guys.
Yeah, I mean that's a great thing, but I don't take that with any grain of salt. I mean, because it's not a Coach of the Year. I look at it more as that is my staff. I can't do anything with my staff. I mean, Josh Parrow, like I said, I mean, he does all of our recruiting. He's out there banging the bushes. He's phenomenal. Mike Delellis, he's a great guy to have with us. And the one nice thing, and one thing that we really put out, is both Josh and Mike are graduates of our university. They are both full-time employees of the university. They take great pride in not only the entire university, but they take great pride in our program. And that's what we're trying to do. We are trying to establish that we are the best college baseball program in New England. And we'll go up against the Franklin Pierces, the Southern New Hampshires, the Southern Connecticut's, the University of New Havens. And, yeah, we're going to fight for kids just like against Sacred Heart, against UConn. We'll go after anybody.
And you'll do it wearing, jerseys that look like Jimmy Buffett.
That's kind of me.
Rob
doesn't on a beach someplace.
Rob doesn't even know that he is the biggest Jimmy Buffett fan ever.
Are you really?
Oh.
Yeah.
I did not throw you under a bus here, Joe. I did not even speak to him about that.
I'm looking at your Twitter feed and I'm seeing how great these jerseys are.
All the guys, they wanted an alternate jersey and all this digital camo stuff, all these funky designs. I spent a lot of time designing that shirt, and I take some pride in honoring the lifestyle.
I'll make sure to get if Eric Gendron, our director, and I will work together to see if we can get a copy of the jersey up on the screen for folks watching. But, Coach, it seems like everything's going in the right direction at the University of Bridgeport, and it's great to hear.
Well, I really appreciate it. But I'll tell you what, I mean, I've known Bill Bloxam for over 30 years, and what he has done not only for me and for everybody in the area, and what you guys are trying to do here, it's just great. I mean, these kids, they work hard all year long, and everybody talks about all the negative stuff, but when they're out on the field and they're doing something positive, and if you guys could get that message out, I mean, that's just awesome.
Hey, we try to tell both sides of the story, but for sure we love, getting the good stuff out there because there's a lot of bad, but to be able to talk about some of these great stories, it's just, makes our job a lot more fun.
Yeah, no, it is. It's awesome. And like I said, I mean, I've known Bill for 30 years, so yes, Bill, I am dating you.
Well, you know what? Coach, we love building a relationship with the University of Bridgeport. Come on the show again, and let's talk some more baseball.
Well, Rob, I really appreciate it, and we'll be tuning in.
Happy to do so, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much, Coach.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Thanks, Joe.
Bye-bye.
That's Joe Tonelli, the head baseball coach at the University of Bridgeport. He sounds like he really is building something special there. I hope he does.
No, he's it's in his blood. He's a baseball guy down to his shoelaces, cleats or whatever. And he's got the staff around him, and it's his third year now, and they've made good strides each season.
I mean, you hear 25 and 24, and it doesn't necessarily blow you away, but it's what they did in the conference that you like to see, and just the way that he's building something very local with all the kids from around this area. Yep. I mean, there's something really good about this, and it doesn't get talked about enough.
No, especially like I said, when I just happened to go over there before the high school season started, and I knew Brian O'Keefe was there, a couple of Milford kids, so I just went over, and then all of a sudden I just saw all these kids I had covered all through high school, and they're all pouring out of the dugout saying, hey, and I said, wait a minute, Joe, how many guys you got here? Yeah. So it was just something I thought, be good to
And there
pursue.
we go. On the screen, these basically Hawaiian or tropical-themed uniforms that they wore, and apparently wore them just the other day because even the folks from the Bridgeport Bluefish were tweeting about them. The Bluefish are all about stuff like that. So, you know what? It's nice to see something a little different than these camos and all this other stuff that you see. This is great. This is a fun look.
Oh, this is great, and they get to play their games at Harbor Yard, and, good partnership there between the two.
That's why I was kind of high on that Tequila Sunrise jersey that I saw New Canaan wear on Monday because at least it was something different than all the and I'm no offense to camo or any of that, but just it was different, and it was fun to see kind of the ghost of the old Houston Astros.
I was just thinking that but yeah, the camo, it was funny because when that just came, everyone was just so fired up to see it, and it's almost old school now.
It really is old school, and that's why everybody likes my Pittsburgh Pirates retro hat that I'm wearing lately.
Oh, do you have that little with the stripes on the top?
I didn't go for the stripe. I almost did. I had that one. I actually had that hat back in 1980, believe it or not. But the one that I bought is the 1971 version that the Clemente Stargell Pirates wore, the Bob Walk Pirates that beat the Orioles in 7 games in the 71 World Series.
The We Are Family team?
The We Are Family team is the Pillbox 79 team.
Oh, okay.
This is the 71 team that beat the Orioles.
The first great Pittsburgh team. Right,
the first great Pittsburgh team. And they wear those now as their Sunday throwbacks, which is kind of cool.
I like that.
Yeah, I do too. I'm a throwback guy, so I enjoy that. We're going to take a break here on Nutmeg Sports. We're already at 2:28, believe it or not. Thanks to Coach for coming on. That was great. We continue on for a Wednesday edition. Show flying by. Your calls more than welcome. 203-442-9055. We continue right here on HANradio.com and streaming live on the HAN network.
Breaks, sprains, injuries, and pain can now be quickly and expertly treated at Coastal Ortho Express in Norwalk. Why wait hours in the ER? Save a trip and save money going straight to an orthopedic specialist at Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, 203-845-2070. No appointment necessary. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday in the iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk, or call 203-845-2070. Fast!
Healthy, confident smiles begin at Stratford Orthodontics. Conveniently located on Main Street, we are Stratford's hometown orthodontist. We offer the latest in orthodontic technology, including Damon braces and Invisalign. We always accept new patients. Call today to schedule a complimentary consultation. 203-375-8332. Stratford Orthodontics, 2499 Main Street, Stratford. 203-375-8332, and online at stratfordsmile.com. alliancenyou.com.
Alliance. We are an industry leader in coordinating transportation for large events such as corporate roadshows, conferences, and special events. Our team of experts understands the dynamics and logistics of high-pressure situations and complex arrangements, all within a rapidly changing environment. Since 1999, we have added charter jets, event management, and personal protection to our range of services. Mention this ad for $25 off your next round-trip reservation. Alliance and you. Together, we can achieve the extraordinary. 855-546-6996 or alliancelimo.com.
Yeah, hey, this is John Ratzberger. You're listening to HANradio.com.
As we hit 2:30, just about 2:31 on a Wednesday edition of Nutmeg Sports, we welcome you back. Kind of a mixed bag outside, cloudy day, some sun as well, so it kind of bounces in and out. But anyway, I'm Rob Adams. Happy you're along with us. Bill Bloxham joining me for this Wednesday edition of Nutmeg Sports. 203-442-9055 is the phone number. And once in a while, you need a little mojo. You need a little something to get you fired up. Although, if you're a New York Rangers fan, you shouldn't need to get fired up. But that being said, we have no problem, because I love to do so, to dig back into the past.
The waiting is over. The New York Rangers are the Stanley Cup champions. And this one will last a lifetime. No more curses. This is unbelievable. These people have waited a long time. Fans, players, coaches. Unbelievable.
21 years, and it's still, I mean, it's like yesterday in a lot of ways, and yet it is 21 years ago. And, you know, it's funny. We're not quite halfway to the point of the classic 54 years, but we're not that far away. So the Rangers better do something, and they better start tonight.
It is interesting that you said that, because you don't think about it that way. When you start putting the years on, you go, wow, it has been a while.
It has.
The glow hasn't gone off me yet. So
oh, it was such a great night. But you know what else we need? We need to hear this tonight. Need the victory song. They've got a tough task ahead of them, but I'm telling you, and this, if they do it, they're gonna make history. If they win tonight, they will be the first NHL team to come back from 3-1 down in a playoff series in back-to-back years. So there's a chance to do something special tonight. It's going to sit on the shoulders of Henrik Lundqvist, as it always does. I mean, that's playoff hockey. Playoff hockey, you have to have a rock in net. Whether it's going all the way back to the old days of, you know, a Kenny Dryden or somebody like that, right on through Mike Richter in 94, Timmy Thomas for the Bruins a few years ago. That's my shout-out to Eric Gendron. You got to have that. You got to have that. And Henrik Lundqvist, and I've been saying this throughout his career, he's a great goalie, great regular season goalie, played phenomenally last year in the Stanley Cup final loss to the Kings. Tonight's Hendrik's night.
I agree. It's just amazing, though, that, you know, how Washington has raised its game. They are truly a quality team now. I'm not sure how you feel about Alex Ovechkin. I just think he has really. I think people should just be quiet.
Yeah, I agree. He's silly to guarantee the victory. I'll say that. Certain people can get away with it. You know, I can go back to Mark Messier, of course, and when we're going to talk guarantees, to me there's two. There's Joe Namath and Mark Messier. That's it. Stop there.
Yep.
Most of these other guarantees don't work. But, you know, I think Ovechkin's a special player, obviously, and you love seeing greatness. You know, I can remember going to a Ranger game. I was dating someone who had Ranger season tickets, so it worked out well for me. But I got to go to a bunch of games.
And why did you stop?
Well, you know, things happen.
Off season?
Yeah, something like that. But, you know, the first game we went to was a preseason game against the Devils. Well, I had never seen Marty Brodeur play in person. Now, of course, you know, you're a Ranger fan. You're not supposed to root for Marty Brodeur, and I wasn't. But the idea of seeing him in person, sometimes you can't help but just enjoy seeing greatness. And that's the case there, just as the case tonight with Alex Ovechkin.
Without a doubt, you know, he's a great two-way player. He just plays so hard, and he's putting the puck where it's supposed to go, and,
right.
And that's where you get Lundqvist. You know, he's just not letting it go.
Yeah, and a certain amount of this series will fall on his shoulders if the Caps lose, because he's basically been invisible from the goal-scoring side of things. He can create, he can be, you know, he has the assists, but he needs to actually put the biscuit in the bucket, and he hasn't been doing that.
It'd be interesting because since he did get that guarantee with nothing to show for it in the past, it's not like Messier who says, okay, come on my shoulders, I've done this in Edmonton, I'll do it here. He'll have something to chortle about if somehow they take it.
And for the Rangers, they've got to find offense, too. They need San Luis to play like himself, and they need Rick Nash, who did get a goal in Game 6. That's a positive sign, but you need Rick Nash to be your guy.
He showed a lot of patience on that goal. And it was so crucial. Real good passing. I mean, it just the fourth goal was just amazing to just have the patience to leave it there, and.
You're ready.
I'm just getting so fired up.
Oh, I mean, we're all fired up for the Ranger fan, the true hardcore Ranger fan. Unfortunately, I'm not talking about the 19,000 at the Garden, because that atmosphere has changed. But the true Ranger fan is absolutely ready tonight, whether it's, you, myself, Chris Kalin, all the guys who are big Ranger fans. We are all ready for this game tonight,
Mike
for sure.
Suppy.
Mike Suppy's another one. There's a bunch of them I can name for sure, both here in the company and outside of the company. There's a whole bunch of Ranger fans. My concern is the crowd at the Garden, and I saw that in Game 5. That really concerned me. Dave Maloney, who actually worked with me at one time at WGCH. He's the Ranger radio analyst with Kenny Albert. And he was saying how bad the Ranger crowd sounded in Game 5. He actually called the Ranger fans out, saying, this place is dead, until the late goal by Kreider was able to tie things up. Got to have that tonight. I mean, you've got to have the energy. It's Madison Square Garden. It's not supposed to be these corporate fans.
Exactly.
But unfortunately, that's what the Garden, Yankee Stadium, Citi Field. We've created this corporate fan, unfortunately, and you got to have that energy. Yankee Stadium doesn't have that energy anymore, and it drives me nuts.
Yep, I thought the Garden would still be okay, but you were exactly right about that.
Yeah,
I think they'll show up tonight.
I think it'll be a great crowd. Obviously, and New York's an event town.
Yep.
That's also true. We love events in New York City, so we love the big-time moments, which is why, the Knick fan will still turn out, but the Knick fan's also going to be paying large numbers to sit at the Garden with Spike Lee and Tom Brokaw and whoever else is sitting there these days. I don't know if Brian Williams will show his face or not, but you get the idea. The fan will show up for the big game, and Game 7 will be... Game 7's the penultimate.
Yep.
It's the reason you play.
I need another month of hockey. And while I'll be watching the Stanley Cup, no matter what, I want my heart to be able to go with
it. And your heart to beat very fast, because I know Eric Gendron's heart isn't beating as fast as Bruins are long gone. And he was telling me off the air that very same thing. He's kind of not that he's not watching, I'm not going to speak for him, but to a certain extent, it's diminished, and your energy changes when your team is not in the mix.
Nope. The good thing for the Bruins is that they've had those back-to-back years of just excellence. So,
as a crazy Yankee fan, or a Ranger fan for that matter, sometimes it can be, I don't want to say nice, but sometimes there's a different energy. I'll still watch the games, but I'm sitting there and I'm watching, and I'm able to do it with much lower blood pressure. It's a different energy.
I was speaking to Mike Suppy earlier about the Rangers, and I just said last year I was just so happy.
Right.
I wanted things, but I was happy. This year, I kind of need it.
Yeah. Well, they climbed all the way to the Stanley Cup final from the very bottom of the Eastern Conference. And if they get past the Caps tonight, they've got a big challenge waiting for them in Tampa Bay. The Lightning are going to be very hard to beat.
And a couple Rangers on that team.
And a couple of Rangers.
I'm sorry, they're not ex-Rangers. They're a couple Rangers waiting to come back.
One of my favorites, Ryan Callahan.
Oh, yeah.
Love Callie. How can you not? I mean, any Ranger fan should love Callie. It was a trade that worked, I think, for both teams. Callie has done well down there, although he's a little banged up. And San Luis last year was outstanding. Regular season, he was good. He's just having a rough time in the playoffs.
And Boyle was one of my favorite players last year for the Rangers. So
I actually watched a fun video as I was getting ready for the show today, Bill. I saw it on YouTube. Look it up if you have the time, folks. It's like 14 minutes long, and it was a little background noise for me while I was doing some other stuff. Every Stanley Cup winning goal from 1950 to last year. Every single one.
Really? For 14 minutes?
For 14,
boom, 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 boom.
14 minutes worth of, with play-by-play or whatever. Not all of it was play-by-play. Some of it was just narration. But the guy missed one goal. Apparently there is no footage of the 1951 Stanley Cup winning goal. But everything else is there. Stretching all the way through, of course, the great Bobby Orr.
I was just going to say, did they just stay there at Orr?
They should have.
I would have just stopped it there.
That's one of the iconic sports moments, and understand when you talk about the Bobby Orr goal, it's game 4 of that series. I mean, the Bruins were up 3-0. So, but it's how it all came together. It's in overtime. It's the fourth goal being in the fourth game, being scored by number 4 and all that. And Bobby Orr, by the way, and I've discussed this with the students that I teach down in Wilton. We had a discussion of greatest hockey players last week. And I had one student, and these are 4th and 5th graders, some 3rd graders, who, the hockey players they know might be Crosby or Ovechkin or Lundqvist, but they were all saying to me, it's going to be Gretzky. Gretzky's the greatest player ever. And I went, not so fast. For me, it's a toss-up between Gretzky and Robert G. Orr. And, Orr reinvented the position of a defenseman. Defensemen weren't scorers.
Nope.
And Orr just turned it into that. So anyway, that goal scored by Bobby Orr in that Game 4 of the '70 Stanley Cup Final. It's iconic. And the great Dan Kelly on the play-by-play on CBS. Did you know who his color man was on this game? I love this little fact.
No.
If you know New York sports, you know this name, Bill Mazer.
Really?
Bill Mazer was the color, the amazing Mazer who was on Channel 5 forever. And there was always the segment, Amaze the Amazing, or you'd send in a question that the anchor would read, and, who was the first baseman in the 1953 All-Star? And Mazer would be like, I got it. And, stump Bill Mazer. That was something to see. But, yeah, it was a pretty cool video to watch, all these things. And then I saw another one. I was telling Eric about this one. Picked the top 20 or so best hockey play-by-play calls. Now, you'd think, rationally, you would think number 1 would be, do you believe in miracles? Al Michaels.
Yep.
1980 Olympics.
Yep.
This guy didn't go that route. He took Raymond Bourque winning the cup, which by Gary Thorne, and I think the guy had a bit of a Gary Thorne fascination, which is fine.
I like Gary Thorne.
I like Gary myself. He's no Doc Emmerich. I'm a huge Doc guy, and I imagine Doc is on the call tonight, which is one of the great broadcasting teams in action right now. I'm not a big Pierre McGuire fan, but Doc and Edzo are just outstanding. And Eddie O was one of us. He was a Ranger.
Yep.
So he's got his name on the cup for 94. So I'm excited. I'm ready for tonight.
That's going to be fabulous.
I got to go see my son's concert, so I am going to be the responsible dad, but I'm going to be kind of, shaking and getting ready to go hear what's going on at the Garden. 2:42 on this edition of Nutmeg Sports. Let's grab a timeout. We will continue, come back, jump back into high school sports. We'll take a look at the FCAC playoff schedule, among some other things that we can bounce around. Your calls, 203-442-9055. Bill and I return right after this on HANradio.com and streaming live on the HAN Network.
Spring is finally in the air, and our favorite season is upon us. The Dock Shop is all geared up with a great selection of fishing tackle, custom fishing rods, and all the latest accessories to replenish your tackle box. The Dock Shop has also just brought out the newest spring fashion apparel from Montauk Tackle, Altered Latitudes, Kaylee Smith, and Margaritaville Apparel. Need some new foul weather gear for those chilly spring mornings? The Dock Shop is loaded up with Grundens and Stormer in a variety of styles and sizes. Ladies, we've got you covered as well with spring apparel and the newest designs of coastal jewelry, bags, and accessories. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, Connecticut. Visit us at dockshop.com.
Did you know that taking dance lessons is a great date night idea? Arthur Murray Grand Ballroom of Greenwich is a fabulous place to learn to dance and also waltz, rumba, hustle, tango. There's a dance for every season. And we are rated #1 on the knot.com. We are the wedding dance specialists. Take advantage of our new student offer, only $49. Call 203-769-1800. Visit us online at arthurmurraygreenwich.com.
Does advertising on HANradio.com
4
work?
minutes, microphone,
Just ask
live.
Coastal Orthopedics. They ran spots with us, and within 24 hours they had 21 walk-ins and 8 calls to their new immediate care center. To advertise on HANradio.com, call 203-417-5199 and ask for Marianne Hersam.
You're listening to Hersam Acorn Radio.
2:45 here on Nutmeg Sports. I'm tempted to play like 10 more play-by-play calls because I get fired up playing that stuff. It's always fun.
It is fun.
You can go back and listen to the Game 6 guarantees of '94. Even what we were talking about off the air was the old Islanders teams. And as a Ranger fan, I feel like I'm supposed to hate the Islanders, and I don't. I really don't, because I came up at the time where, and kind of my hockey, youth was that 79 Ranger team that went to the finals with Montreal back when, there were no conferences. You just seeded and you played, and it was a great Ranger team that was not truly great. They were not, they had no business being in that final against the Canadiens, but they galvanized the city. JD.
Remind me of last year.
Yeah, exactly.
It kind of reminded me of last year's Rangers team.
No, it's a perfect comparison. And, it's the John Davidson team as you're getting into those years with, I'm trying to think of some of the other guys on that team, but, guys that have become somewhat, famous for being Rangers, but not icons per se, the Ron Duguays and people like that on that team. And then along came the Islanders, and I loved Mike Bossy. I remember him getting the 50 goals in 50 games. Billy Smith in net was a wall, you know.
Bobby Nystrom
beating the Flyers, and that's when America was hockey nuts right there, because that's the '80 finals, and you're coming off, of course, the '80 Miracle.
Exactly.
So it was a great time for hockey, and I still think it's a great time for hockey now. I think we're there, but we're not quite there. We're not quite that next level.
I don't think they can ever get past a certain level.
Right.
But I think they've energized what they have.
Yeah,
and that's fine. They're filling the arenas.
They are. Oh, they have great numbers.
TV is going to be what the TV is. They're worried about the Canadian teams. They're trying to get some draft choices up there.
Yeah,
maybe they can get Patrick Ewing to go up. They can draft Patrick Ewing. But they're trying to help those Canadian teams, because that's where the heart came from.
It truly is an amazing fact that the last Canadian team to win a Stanley Cup goes back, I believe, to 1993, when it was the 90. Was it 92? I'm getting multiple fingers. 95, Eric? 92 into 3, so 93, right. When it was the Canadiens.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've never been a Canadian fan.
Oh, no. Oh, no. I must admit, I was enjoying watching the Canadiens play with the Lightning to make that a series, but no, that's a hard team to root for. I can't root for PK Subban. I can't.
Well, me, it's just a matter that they took it to us for so many years when I was a youngster. And you just can't get past that.
No, you can't get past that. And if you're on the other side of the cameras right over there, and you say you are a Boston Bruins fan, you cannot have anything to do with the Montreal Canadiens, the Habitants. Let's jump into the FCX sports schedule for the spring tournament. Dave Stewart put this together. There was a change that I discovered yesterday, and Dave passed it along as well. The baseball quarterfinals will be Tuesday the 26th at the higher seed, 4 o'clock game. Then we will jump in we'll probably have a quarterfinal game. I would imagine we will have both semifinals for you at Harbor Yard, both at 5 and 7:30 on Wednesday the 27th, and then Friday the 29th is now the championship. It was going to be Saturday the 30th. It's now Friday the 29th at 7:30 at the ballpark at Harbor Yard in Bridgeport. We'll have full coverage of all that for you. Softball, the quarterfinals are Saturday the 23rd, which is just around the corner. Then on Tuesday the 26th, you've got the semifinals at Sacred Heart University at 3 and 5, with Thursday the 28th being the final at 5 o'clock. Again, we're looking forward and likely going to do that. Lacrosse, next Friday are the quarterfinals. Next Friday. Tuesday the 26th, there's semifinals at Brian McMahon, and Thursday the 28th is the boys lacrosse final. Girls lacrosse final, pretty much the same schedule. Quarterfinals on the 22nd, semis are on the 26th, and the final at 4 o'clock on the 28th. Boys volleyball, the semifinals at Ludlow on the 27th, the final on May 29th at Ludlow at 7 p.m. Boys tennis, the quarterfinals are at the higher seeds on the 21st. Semis at the higher seed on the 26th. The final is at Wilton High School on the 28th at 4. Girls tennis, pretty much the same. Quarterfinals on the 20th, semis 22nd. Final at Wilton on the 27th at 4. Boys and girls track and field, the FCAC Championship is Tuesday the 26th at 2. Boys golf, you've got the Chapa Tournament at Longshore on the 21st at 8 a.m. The Holohan Tournament at Woodway at 12:30 on the 26th. Wednesday, June 3rd, is the FCAC Championship at Fairchild Wheeler. You've got a tournament in girls golf at Grassy Hills on June 1st at 1, and the championship at Fairchild Wheeler on the 3rd at 9 a.m., and it is amazing to me. Here we are, playoff time already.
It's a fabulous time unless you are an FCAC boys lacrosse coach. You just mentioned the quarterfinals coming up. 6 of those 8 teams are the top 6 teams in the state.
Yeah.
I guess it's good and it's bad. You've played against each other, so you've played against the best. And, here's that old question. Do you want to win the FCAC or you want to win the states? Because you have all 4 divisions going, 4 state divisions. Teams will be coming out of the FCACs and battling other teams again. But to win an FCAC title might be more impressive.
Yeah. As Dave Stewart said to us on Monday, he feels that Class L is just loaded this year because Darien and New Canaan can't play each other in the states. New Canaan, I believe, has moved up. So, it's a different animal this year.
Yeah, no, it's crazy stuff, but I guess that's a good problem to have if you're a boys lacrosse coach, if you're one of the top 6 teams in the state.
So
take your chances.
So for my editing colleagues, do not panic in Darien and New Canaan. You do not have to deal with a state championship in lacrosse. You may have to deal with it in the FCAC championship, though.
Oh, they'll take it.
Yeah. Oh, no. They'll take it and love every minute of it. 251 here on Nutmeg Sports. I did want to jump into the Game Time CT baseball poll for a moment because I was kind of fascinated what I read. The bottom 2 teams in the top 10 are tied for 9th. Darien and New Canaan. Why? Because they're supposed to just always be together. New Canaan 11-3, Darien 12-2. They both got 211 points in the voting poll, and it's a great group of voters. I'm not trying to knock anybody. Our buddy Mary Albel is one of them. Bill is one of them as well. Mike Suppy is one, among others. So some good people. Tom Yance, of course, who comes on the show all the time. We'll get him back on. Dave Rudin, Pete Paguaga, a few other guys that we know from around these parts, as I mentioned, including Bill Henry Chisholm of the New Haven Register. So you've got Darien New Canaan number 9. You've got Amity at 8. Fairfield Ward at 7. Now, right there, I find that kind of spacious thinking because I didn't think Ward is that much better than New Canaan or Darien. And I'm not trying to get into what your voting process was, but I just find myself thinking I like Ward. I saw them in person, but I feel like they've stumbled lately where New Canaan and Darien have played better baseball. I think Darien's the best team right now in the conference. Waterford number 6. And then I'm stunned. I'll step over number 5. Fairfield Prep 4, Montville 3, Southington 2, East Catholic 1. But Wilton at number 5. Wilton at 12-2, and they're good. They got throttled by Darien on Monday. And no mention of Staples in this top 10. So I was just fascinated by it.
The poll comes out, we vote on Saturdays.
Okay.
Or the Saturday.
Which takes the Monday game out of play.
Take the Monday game out of play. So then we move it forward that way. There's a lot of conversations between the voters going over like what they've seen and things like that. So it's just, especially in the FCAC with these things, once again, it's almost like the 6 boys lacrosse teams. They just keep knocking each other off. So it's
That is true.
It's who beat who. As I'm voting, I have to sit there and go back and say, okay, wait a minute, I can't vote Darien over that team because they beat them.
Right.
But no, they beat them. And so the logic kind of gets switched around once they get to 2 and 3 losses.
Yeah,
so it's the hot team. So if someone went 3-0 this week,
right,
going into Monday.
And I mean, I get it. I used to vote in when Tim Perry would do the FCAC football poll, and I miss doing it. I had fun voting in those polls. It was a little bit of a headache because, you knew you were going to tick people off, but it was fun to do. I like the challenge of thinking about all these teams from the area or the state or whatever. So, I had a good time with all of that. But I'm looking at this list and I'm going, well, okay, I think Darien and Staples are the 2 best teams in the FCAC, but they're not even – Staples isn't even listed, which I found just fascinating.
Aren't they? They're in their 15, right?
I think they're among the 15. When I look down, others receiving votes were Sheehan, Simsbury, Notre Dame West Haven, Norwich Free Academy, who I saw, and they're very good, Thomaston, Norwalk, then Staples. Then Bunnell, Shelton, Stafford, North Haven, Windsor, Massac, and Glastonbury. Massac's having a good year. So is Shelton. So, I mean, look, it's all for us, you know.
Well, that's the whole thing.
It's fun conversation.
Once again, unlike the NCAA football poll before the playoff systems and all that, it really carries no weight. They will all determine their own fates.
Yeah.
So we just try to be fair week to week. And I think the only thing I do different is on the final poll, I try to get all the S's in there too, because I think an S champion is just as deserving. So they have to be a top 10 team if you've won your state title. And I'm sorry if you were 18. If you were 22-1 and got knocked off in the quarterfinals, that was a great year. But the final poll, I think that it is based on the state tournaments.
Right.
And then you filter in behind that. During the week, it's a hodgepodge. You just jump back and forth.
Yeah. And look, the polls are all kind of flawed, and but they're fun. I mean, I still remember the year that I did the Greenwich football team as they went and won a state championship, as I mentioned, in football. Mm-hmm. And to me, that 2007 team was among the best teams I've ever seen, and yet they still finished second in the state to Ansonia, because there's still my way of thinking that, Ansonia could go 6-6 and still come in second in the state poll.
Well, what happens, and the only thing I disagree with all the polls, is there shouldn't be a pre-poll.
Yeah.
Preseason, you're just going on reputation in last year, and especially in football. And so if someone gets to 1, let's just say for some reason St. Bernard's gets to 1.
Right.
And then they go 9-1. Or some reason they don't get bumped out.
Right.
No one's going to push them as long as they win. And that's the case with Ansonia. So you can always look at the first poll the top 4 teams, and unless they're going to be there, it's kind of like the NCAA poll where they throw those 4, they throw the last 10 in there, and then it's the same 10 again, and they just kind of rehash it and things like that. And then if you talk to anybody in the Ansonia, they think everyone hates them.
Oh, of course.
It's funny how it all works.
Oh, I don't hate them. I admire them.
Oh, no, but they think not you.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Everyone.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. The lacrosse poll from Game Time CT, I saw this as well, and fairly interesting. Fairfield Prep 10, Xavier 9, Glastonbury 8, North Haven 7, and then get ready for the FCAC Blitz from 6-1. Ludlow, Staples, Ridgefield, Greenwich, Darien, the number 1 team, is New Canaan right now, as a result, of course, of beating the Blue Wave 9-8. Now, for my money, I still think Darien's the better team.
If I take off my Ranger hat and we throw all the names in, I'll take Lundquist. No, I'm sorry. My mind is...
You're thinking to 7 o'clock, 7:30 tonight.
My mind's going.
Right.
I'll take any one of them.
They're all good.
It's so much fun to watch. It's so much fun to cover. And it's so much fun to watch on replay.
Yeah.
When I'm not there live.
Yeah.
To be able to get this opportunity, through the videos and things like that, to really, it's a great time of year.
You've got Greenwich looks good at 10-3, Darien 11-1, New Canaan 9-2, Ridgefield 9-3, Staples. I've seen all 5 of those teams. They're all impressive.
Mm-hmm.
They're all good. In fact, we saw Ludlow also. We saw Ludlow in the first game of the year, so I don't know. Yep. It's all great. Anyway, Bill, great show today.
I enjoyed it. Always do.
All right. We'll see you again next week.
I'll be here.
We're out for a quick break. We'll come back. We'll have Kate come back in, and then we'll wrap this show up. We continue with Nutmeg Sports 258. Back to say goodbye right after this on HANradio.com.
Spring is finally in the air, and our favorite season is upon us. The Dock Shop is all geared up with a great selection of fishing tackle, custom fishing rods, and all the latest accessories to replenish your tackle box. The Dock Shop has also just brought out the newest spring fashion apparel from Montauk Tackle, Altered Latitudes, Kaylee Smith, and Margaritaville Apparel. Need some new foul weather gear for those chilly spring mornings? The Dock Shop is loaded up with Grundens and Stormer in a variety of styles and sizes. Ladies, we've got you covered as well, with spring apparel and the newest designs of coastal jewelry, bags, and accessories. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, Connecticut. Visit us at dockshop.com.
It's lots of characters. Specializing in children's birthday parties with your child's favorite characters. When you want to party hardy, when you need to celebrate, call us, we won't be late. We help create lasting memories for you and your child on their special day. Call us at 203-590-1791 or visit our website at lotsofcharacters.org for more information and to see our party packages. Lots of Characters, 203-590-1791 or online at lotsofcharacters.org.
Hersam Acorn and HANradio.com.
Just about 3 o'clock on Nutmeg Sports. I'm Rob Adams. Thanks to Bill Bloxam for joining us today. And by the way, we made it through 59 minutes of the program, almost 60, and now I feel I must say Deflategate. Just because. It has to be said at least once every show. Even Kate is chuckling at the thought of Deflategate because everyone's talking about it these days as we turn things over to the news desk and bring Kate Czaplinski back in. Kate, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Rob. Thank you. Well, the Amtrak train that crashed in Philadelphia was reportedly traveling faster than 100 miles per hour. Sources close to the investigation have told NBC News. Police raised the death toll to 7. Authorities said they still have not accounted for everyone on board. The speed reading came from the train's data recorder, which was recovered from the crash. The train went off the tracks at a curve where the speed limit drops from 70 miles per hour to 50. A city official said that hospitals treated more than 200 patients after Amtrak Regional 188 derailed Tuesday night on its way from Washington to New York. Amtrak asked even people who were uninjured to call in as authorities tried to match the passenger list with hospital accounts. The 7 dead included 4 whose bodies were found inside the train, 2 outside, and 1 who died at the hospital, according to Police Lieutenant John Walker. 2 were identified: Justin Zemser, a Navy midshipman who was on leave and going home to New York, and Jim Gaines, an Associated Press video software architect. Dozens of people were still being treated Wednesday in Philadelphia hospitals with injuries ranging from cuts and broken bones to head trauma. The conductor of the train was injured and was talking to police. Closer to home, anger and loud accusations turned the New Canaan Police Commission hearing to determine New Canaan Police Sergeant John Milligan's professional fate into a tense, almost frightening atmosphere Wednesday that had participants and spectators stunned. In 2010, when John Milligan enrolled in the town of New Canaan's health insurance plan, he also enrolled his ex-wife and child. Police Chief Leon Krolikowski initiated a criminal investigation upon learning this. It was conducted by the Connecticut State Police and was closed with no criminal charges filed. But the internal affairs investigation resulted in the recommendation of termination of Milligan. The town of New Canaan is saying that Milligan's ex-wife being on his insurance cost the town $33,000. Milligan's attorney Eric Brown, cross-examining New Canaan Director of Human Resources Cheryl Jones Wednesday, desperately tried to undermine her credibility, hammering her with questions regarding precisely when she was aware of Milligan's divorce, if she should have been more professional in getting him to make paperwork changes, and even whether accusations of Milligan having an affair was something that should have even spurred an investigation in the first place. A full exchange of that heated conversation is posted now at ncadvertiser.com. The Georgetown Saloon in Reading has been sold to a restaurant investment management group out of New York and Connecticut, according to Steve Matsis, Senior Managing Director of Stamford-based Pyramid Restaurant Group. Robert Manair, a partner in the newly formed ownership, is also the owner of Sea Grape, a successful college bar in Fairfield. Manair will oversee the day-to-day operations of the saloon. The new owners plan to bring back the grand old days of the Georgetown Saloon, dating back to the 70s, when it was known for its live performances of talented bands and musicians, featuring blues, rock, jazz, open mic nights, and occasional visits by nearby resident Rolling Stones guitarist Keith Richards. A new lunch and dinner pub menu, a quality sound system, and renovations to the bar are in the works. A grand opening is anticipated for July 1st. Richfield voters Tuesday approved a $135 million town and school operating budget for 2015-16, as well as several capital items. The plan increases spending but doesn't raise taxes, instead drawing on the town's multi-year surplus fund. You can read a breakdown of each vote at therichfieldpress.com. And since it's Nutmeg, we'll do a little sports-related read.
All right.
A Wilton boy who was bullied for stuttering received a letter of encouragement from someone else who once struggled with his speech, Tiger Woods. Golf Digest published the letter from Woods on its website Tuesday. The plight of the boy, identified only as Dylan, was publicized when his mother reached out to 8-time Solheim Cup player Sophie Gustafsson of Sweden, who played her entire career on the LPGA and in Europe with a severe stuttering problem. Gustafsson shared the mother's letter with Golf Digest, which published a story on its website April 30th. The mother said her son tried out for the football team only to quit because of the constant teasing about his stutter. She wrote that he was on the verge of leaping from his bedroom window on April 16th until his parents stopped him. The mother's letter to Gustafsson also mentioned that her son watched golf and was a fan of Woods. Not long after Golf Digest posted the story on its website, the boy received a letter from the 14-time major champion. Gustafsson tweeted on Sunday her thanks to Woods for, quote, sending my friend Dylan a letter. He got so happy. It's being framed and hanged, she said. She also added the hashtag class. Woods said in the letter that he was younger than most kids he played and was often the only minority in the field. He wrote, but I didn't let that stop me, and I think it even inspired me to work harder. I know you can do that too. You have a great family and big fans like me on your side. Be well and keep fighting, Woods said. I'm certain you'll be great at anything you do. It is currently 66 degrees and cloudy in Shelton. HAN News Time is 3:05.
Kate, thanks very much. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Rob.
All right, Kate Chaplinsky with our news update. As we finish here on the show, I was just sent something kind of fun. Now, I can't read you the whole thing. It's way too long. But I got a little something sent to me. A Ron Gordon sent this along. A Deflategate poem. But I promise I am not going to read the whole thing. Deflated, elated, or just in the middle? What are your thoughts on this mysterious riddle? Perplexed or vexed? Or just on the fence? Who did it? Who done it? How, why, and whence? The football, the pigskin, did it squeal or stay silent in this game so beautiful, but sometimes so violent? I'm going to stop there, but you get the idea. I figured Eric Gendron would get a laugh out of that as well, but we'll see if we'll post the rest for you at another time, but kind of fun to finish off the show with, and finish off the show with this. Because the New York Rangers have got some work to do tonight as we say goodbye for this Wednesday edition. Hopefully they are celebrating tonight at the Garden. Thanks to Bill Bloxam for coming on today. Thanks as well to the University of Bridgeport baseball coach Joe Tonelli for joining us. We had some fun with him as well. But a fun Nutmeg Sports and a good week here, and we'll be back with you on Monday. We'll also be back with you tomorrow for lacrosse down at the Brunswick School as the Brunswick Bruins take on the Ridgefield Tigers. For everyone here at HAN Radio, I'm Rob Adams. Thanks for listening and watching. We'll see you tomorrow for Coffee Break to get you started at 11 o'clock. Don't forget Stir Crazy Patty Gay at noon, Yankee Fisherman as well. But for now, I'm Rob Adams. Have a good night, everyone.
Hersam, Acorn, and HANradio.com. The leader in local news, sports, arts, and entertainment in southwestern Connecticut.